Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Steve Didier. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for American Realty here in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. I have a pleasure today of being in the office with a good friend of mine, Susan Bachelder. She is from Canada.
Yes.
Saskatoon? Saskatoon. And although it's cool to see old friends, and also friends who might be buying houses down here as well, there's actually a very special reason that Susan is in Mexico at this particular time, and that reason is that she had a procedure involving stem cells. Now, these kinds of procedures, as most of you may or may not know, are not approved or they're not legal in the US and Canada. So people are forced to come to places like Mexico to get these things done. Now, I want to ask you about give us a little bit of a backstory. What happened that brought you up to this point?
For the stem cell transplant itself?
Yeah.
Implant? I was in a car accident 9.5 years ago, and the injury that I sustained ended up causing permanent nerve damage, and nothing else was able to relieve that nerve pain and the muscle spasm that came with it. I tried everything, went through all the normal steps and procedures.
Right. You probably have to speak up a little bit if you can, because this camera's out here. So,
okay.
I've known you for about 2 years, and you've been more or less housebound.
Yes.
To a certain degree.
Yeah, and at times pretty much stuck in bed for the most part of the day. Like some days I could only be out of bed for a maximum of 4 hours.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's not good.
No, that's not very active. And that was before this happened, I was very active. Bike riding, rollerblading, swimming, you name it, I did it. House renovations, I did my own renovations.
Right.
So, yeah, I went from that to not.
Exactly.
Walking a block was sometimes a challenge, just to give people something concrete.
Right. And for me to pick you up this afternoon, you walked all the way down, probably a half mile down the beach, or a kilometer or more?
Yes.
In Canadian terms?
Yes.
So you booked with a doctor here in Mexico who'd done the stem cells quite a bit, right?
Yeah, he's been doing them since 1991.
Oh, okay, so he's got, what? Math is not my strong suit right now. It's 20 years?
23 years.
23 years?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that was about 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And like I said, you went from being essentially housebound, not being able to walk a block or sit up and talk for very long at a time,
Mm-hmm.
to
out and about, moving around all day long. 3 days, well, that walk that you mentioned on the beach,
right.
And then 3 days ago, 90 steps up pyramid.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know what the pyramid is, Coba, about an hour and a half from here, is one of the Mayan pyramids. It's the only pyramid that you can actually still climb. All the other ones, Chichen Itza, Tulum, you're roped off, you can't climb them. Coba, you can still actually climb, and you made it just about to the top, right?
Yeah, the people on the bottom told me it looked like about 2/3 of the way up, and when we counted the steps, it was about 90 steps. So it's 120 steps high.
Oh, okay, and they're not little steps.
No, they're bigger than your normal house or commercial steps that you would take. The pyramid is actually 128 feet high, so that would tell us that each step is a foot.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a big step.
Yeah, that's a big step. So and the reason that you didn't quite make it to the top had nothing to do with your neck or nerve damage.
No, I didn't have any pain. I just for 9.5 years I've been inactive, so I really can't believe that I had the gumption to do that. Even I was tired.
Yeah.
I was just tired. And the sun was shining. As much as I love the sun, but the bright hot sun was shining, and I was sweating, and I thought, it's not worth damage. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I was happy.
Yeah, you got above the jungle canopy because you sent me pics and
yes,
everything. So,
above the tree line.
See, that's an amazing thing, and that's one of the reasons that medical tourism has become so prominent. There are some incredible medical facilities in Mexico. They're doing treatments down here. You know, I mean, just up the coast in Cancun, they're doing about all manner of plastic surgery and everything else because it's you know, speaking from the American side, it's literally a fraction of the cost to get most of the things done here, whether it's some sort of augmentation surgery or a hip replacement or, you know, anything.
Dental is really huge.
Dental.
Huge cost difference.
Yeah, huge cost difference. And you know, I don't know exactly what the costs are in Canada. You have more of a nationalized healthcare sort of situation. But there's still waiting lists and everything else. So it's pretty crazy for the stuff that they consider elective, or is it just everything?
Yeah, for everything really. Most, like, more of the waiting lists are elective, but sometimes even some of the urgent stuff is on waiting.
That's
lists.
crazy.
So
I know because there's one of the hospitals here in Cancun has been going through the certification process. It's Galenia Hospital in Cancun. It's going through the certification process so that it's going to be approved by whatever regulatory body approves hospitals in Canada, so that Canadians will be able to use that down here under the national healthcare system, which is going to be really big.
Yes, that'll be huge.
But it kind of shows you, it goes, for people who are kind of worried about maybe healthcare in Mexico, that shows you what level of medical facilities there are down here, if it's going to be approved by the Canadian, I don't even know who approves things in Canada.
I do know the association, but
It's something. It's a very rigid approval process.
Yes.
That's for sure. So that makes it a very attractive place. I mean, Mexico is a great place to retire for baby boomers and stuff like that too. And working with a lot of people who are either considering moving down here or spending part of the year down here after they retire. With people that age, medical care is always kind of first and foremost in their mind.
Always.
So, you know, it's something that shouldn't be a concern. That's because in this part of Mexico especially, the healthcare is top notch. Now, going back to you for a second, you had your surgery or your procedure done 2 weeks ago, and you were walking around and doing everything the day after.
That's right, the day after.
And that's something that wouldn't even have been possible in Canada.
No, it's not. It's not possible. They're not doing the procedure in Canada.
See, that's
it's
amazing.
not available.
So in some ways, Mexico is way ahead of the U.S. and Canada. So, all right, anything?
I would like to add one thing, and it's just for almost like a accreditation for our viewers.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to let them know that these aren't just like opinions that we grabbed out of the air. Like these are backed up. Before my car accident, I was a critical care registered nurse. So I have 15 years of working within the healthcare system. So I'm not just, looking at healthcare in Mexico saying, oh yeah, well that looks good or whatever, willy-nilly.
Right.
It's kind of like quite critical. I did some critical research before making this choice.
Well, so
I just think that's important for our viewers to know.
No, I think it is because your background is in the healthcare industry.
Yes. Yeah, and I've been, it's not the first time that I've had healthcare abroad. Like I've been to India to see a world-renowned spine surgeon. I've been to the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, and I've also been to the Cleveland Clinic in Cleveland. So I've got a varied experience on both sides, as patient and as practicing.
From a healthcare professional's viewpoint then, how was your experience here in Mexico?
I was quite impressed.
Very impressed, huh?
Very impressed. The highlight is not necessarily within the clinic and the procedure. Like everything was done top notch for sure, and that was impressive. But right from the beginning, when I started researching and planning it, they impressed me because the doctor's assistant and the doctor himself, the communication was unmatched. Like I've never had that high of communication as far as patient doctor and coordination. So I was already impressed and felt very comfortable before the procedure happened. And then the procedure itself was was really good.
Right.
And after, it's only been 2 weeks, and they've already followed up with me, I think about 5 times.
See, that's good stuff.
Yeah, top notch.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And if anybody has any questions, obviously contact me either through here, AmericanDevelopment.com. Wherever you find this video, you'll be able to find my contact information. And if you're looking for information as well on the actual stem cell procedure, then contact me, or I can get you Susan's contact information
Yeah, that's a good idea.
as well. Okay. And if this video ends up in your blog, obviously contact information will be there. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.